Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the event. We had a few technical difficulties, so we are running a little bit behind tonight, but we just thank you for your patience. We thank you for continuing to be with us on Tuesday nights, whether you join us for the event live conversation or you're with us as we go through our event nightcap. We're always excited to be in community. We're always excited to see new people and to see returning people in the comments, chatting, laughing, sending emojis. We're always excited because the event exists because of our community, because of the people who come in, because of you for commenting, for sharing your experiences. We would not be here without you. So I just want to say thank you from the very bottom of my heart. I want to thank you for being present, for sharing your event experience with others, as well as for just listening and taking what you need. Because sometimes you just got to take what you need, chew on it, and go about your day. And we love that for you. So welcome in. Hey, Carl. See you on IG. If you're joining us on Instagram, what's up? What's up? What's up? If you're on Facebook, drop some emojis, drop something in the chat so we can see you. If you're on YouTube, hey, thank you for coming in. We're always excited to be able to come together. Tonight's conversation, we're starting a new series, right? So last month, our series was Fireside Chat. So we talked about holiday blues. We talked about working through those complex emotions of being sometimes excited and grieving. We talked about not always being excited for the holidays or for what's approaching. We've talked about so many things as it deals with complex emotions, processing things, who you surround yourself with, and how to navigate that space. And know that it's okay if you're not always cheerful and excited. And it's okay to be cheerful and excited if people try to tell you shouldn't be. So our new series for this month, for December, as we kind of close out 2024 and we move into 2025, we are looking at futuristic foundations. What does that mean? It might sound like a oxymoron. It may sound like something that doesn't go together. But in order for us, we talked about this idea of Sankofa before. We talked about this idea of knowing where you've come and taking a look at where you've been to help you move forward. So tonight's conversation really looks at preparing for the future, having a solid foundation now, and preparing for what is to come. So if you look at our thing, y'all, I'm not really like the techie girl, right? But I tried to make our title look like a code. Y'all know how people code. Anybody ever been on MySpace? Y'all remember MySpace? When you had the code and you could put like stuff falling on your wall and you could embed a code and you could put music and you could put pictures and things could be animated. So we was coding back in the day, even when we didn't know. Here's the thing about coding. With coding, somebody has to write the code, right? There are different types of codes. I ain't gonna go real deep into it, but the point that I'm trying to make is we code, we do these things. Someone has to write the code, right? So that's the foundation. But the code often creates something in the future. So it creates the images, it creates the animations, it creates the words, it creates the buttons, it creates all these things that we get to see. But it started with some solid foundation of someone creating the code. So that's where we start. We started that foundation. We started at what we know, and we help that to build. And sometimes you got to update the code, right? Sometimes you have to do different things so that it'll do something different, because we're not necessarily in MySpace days anymore. But some of the things that we used to do there, we've kind of translated into new technology. In that same way, in our lives, some of the lessons that we've learned before, some of the things that we've gleaned from other people, some of the experience that we had, whether they were positive or whether they weren't so great, they help us build our future and they help us shape our mind for where we want to go. So as we look at that, one of the big things I want to talk about tonight is we want to relish, we want to be excited about accomplishments, but we don't want our accomplishments to become our anchor, right? We don't want our accomplishments to become these shrines that we worship and we're not able to move beyond what we've accomplished today. Because what we've accomplished is great and we love it and we celebrate it, but we don't want to hang on to things that maybe are outdated or we've now grown beyond that because of comfortability or because we are afraid of what the future may hold. So we're going to talk about that tonight. I'm excited because I know a lot of you are looking forward to 2025. You're expecting new things. Some of us may be a little nervous about what 2025 may hold. Some of us may be in a space where it's like, oh no, I'm just trying to get through today. I'm just trying to get through this night. So let's talk about it together. Let's kind of just build some things in our toolbox, whether you want to use it now or later. We do want to build some things up in our toolbox to help us to move forward into what is to come. Because whether we like it or not, whether we're looking forward to it or not, the future is coming. Like, we can't do nothing to slow down time. We can't do anything to speed it up. So what we can do is make sure that we're being the best that we can do and using our tools and our resources the best that we can, so that we can move forward and do it diligently and do it to play on our behalf. Hey, Henry. So the first thing when we talk about futuristic foundation is building on what was, not living in it. And I kind of alluded to that already, but anybody ever, like, let me ask this. Have you ever accomplished anything? Right? So accomplishments can look like I ran a 5K. Accomplishments can look like I got a promotion. Accomplishments can look like I tried a new recipe and it came out well. Accomplishments can look like I got out of bed today and I took a shower. Right? Here's the thing, and this is where a lot of us get caught up. We accomplish one thing and we think that's our ceiling. We accomplished, like, man, I ran a mile in 15 minutes. And you think that's like your ceiling. That's the best I can do. So what we do not want to get caught up in, and what we don't want to be, is checking off this 2024 list, and everything we did in 2024 is now the ceiling. Like, we can't get any higher than this. No, we want to break that ceiling. So 2024, for some of us, we thought it was our ceiling, but it's probably actually really like your foundation. So the things that you've accomplished, the things that you worked through in therapy, the areas you've had breakthrough in, the areas where you're still trying to navigate because you don't really know, that is not your cap. Like, you haven't capped out. You haven't reached your ceiling. You haven't reached your limit. You really have gotten to this space where this is your foundation. Like, this is where it starts. Like, you broke through. You're in this space. This is just the beginning. So we don't want this to become a memorial. Like, I got the promotion on the job. That's all I need. No, there's still more, and it may be more in other areas, but we don't want to live. Like, I appreciate my past. I appreciate what it taught me. I appreciate what I gained from it. I still and I still have more life to live. Anybody feel like they got more life? Like, you have other things that you want to do? Or have you checked off everything? Have y'all checked off everything on your list of things to do? I hope not. I hope that there are some things that you haven't completed yet and you're looking forward to doing in the future. And if there aren't, I challenge you to reanalyze and take some time to reflect to see, okay, this is done. What is moving forward? And that doesn't mean that you are overlooking what's already there. It doesn't mean that we diminish what we've already accomplished, but it means that I celebrated this moment. This was a great accomplishment, but I also know this is not where I cap out. So I'm not pushing that off to the side, but what I am saying is this was great. And I know that there are more things that I can accomplish. And it doesn't mean that I have to work harder and overdo it and tire myself out. But what it does mean is I don't have to set a limit to what I can accomplish. I can be open for more, and more may be people pouring into me. More may be things coming to me. It doesn't mean I have to overwork myself to get it. I want to make that point. I want to be clear on that. We're not challenging you to go out and now work 18 more hours or 20 more hours. We're saying that be open to more. Be open to people wanting to network with you. Be open to people wanting to collaborate with you. Be open to people wanting to use your business and your skill set in a way that you can determine the schedule and you can determine the price, right? Don't limit yourself to, I got to work harder to get more. Expand your horizon to, there's more that can come to me, and that's more that I can accomplish. And that doesn't equate to me putting in overworking and doing the most. It means that there's more opportunities for me to get what I need. So with that being said, I would love to hear from you all. How can we use our experiences as stepping stones rather than anchors? So what that means is, I got the degree, I opened the agency, I mastered the recipe. So now, how can this be a stepping stone for me to now expand my horizons? Because I don't want to say get to the next step, because that sounds like you're on a checklist and you're just checking things off. How can I now expand my horizons? How can I now expand my reach? How can I now make more money and possibly do less work? How can I now collaborate with other people who may have different skill sets to even expand my reach because I have this experience now. I'm not gonna let it be an anchor and I just stay here. And y'all know the people, right? And they were in high school and they scored 1,000 points, and now they was in high school 30 years ago. And it's great. Like them 1,000 points you scored in 1952 are great. They're amazing. It was an amazing accomplishment. But how are you going to use that accomplishment to now be a stepping stone for where you want to go? Okay, I scored 1,000 points, but it's because I collaborated with the rest of my team. So now with that lesson I know about collaboration, how can I collaborate in my personal life, in my business life, so that this is a stepping stone and not an anchor where I have to go back 50 years to talk about what I was able to do, how I was able to make impact. How can I do that today, not just to impact others, but to expand my life and to expand my reach and to grow bigger and to have my sights set on something larger or more than what I ever thought could happen now that we're moving into a new year. And it doesn't even have to happen in 2025. It can start now. We can start taking steps now. So how can you use your experiences? So even negative or not the best experiences. I learned one of the lessons I learned. Let me say this. So we're sharing, right? Y'all know we family. One of the lessons I learned for 2020 in 2024 that I'm going to take, and it's going to be a stepping stone for me in 2025, is I have to meet people where they are. Right? So there are a lot of things I wish that would happen. There are a lot of things I hope that would happen. There are a lot of things that people didn't understand that I was hoping that they would get and we would be able to, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about like networking and business wise and personal relationships and family things where I wish that we could do this. I wish we were on the same page. I wish you understood where I came from. But then I had to understand that I have to meet people where they are. So they may not be in the right headspace, or I don't want to say right. They might not be in a healthy headspace where there can be a meeting of the minds, where what I'm saying to you is what you're hearing from me, right? I have to meet you where you are. If your capacity is here on the left and my capacity is on the right, and we don't meet in the middle, I have to be okay with that, and now I have to move on and go to the next thing. It's okay. We didn't meet. The meeting of the minds did not happen. The understanding did not happen. The collaboration did not happen, and that's okay. I can't let that be an anchor for me. I have to use it as a stepping stone. Some things that I thought would happen one way, they didn't, and guess what? That's okay. I can't stay here because it didn't happen the way I thought it should, could, would. I now have to use that experience, positive or negative, as a stepping stone so that I can move forward. Y'all ever had experience like that? We thought like the job was gonna be that, and then you got on the job and you was like, what in the world? These people crazy, right? Or you thought that the relationship was gonna be one way, but then it didn't. You started finding more out about a person. You're like, I don't even like you, or like you have those experiences. And what I'm saying is, don't let it pull you down and keep you where you are. Use it as a way. I learned the lesson. So now moving forward, this is how I deal with people. This is how I deal with those situations. These are the questions I'm going to ask at the interview because I need to know what the work culture is like and what the expectations are. I hope that makes sense. Y'all let me know. Let me hear from you. What y'all thinking? Have you had these experiences? Is that something that you've dealt with, that you've accomplished, that you were kind of working through? I want to know where you are, how you feeling about it, and what you don't have to go into a whole bunch of detail because I know some things can be touchy, but I would love to hear from you what that experience has been for you. And another way to say that is, how do you honor your journey? So I honor my journey, right? But I will not allow past mistakes to define my future, right? We kind of leaned into that already, but what we're saying is, maybe I did have a divorce along the journey, or maybe I had failed relationships along the journey. But what I can't do is say, oh, I had a failed relationship, so I can't have any relationships moving forward. Right? There may be some therapy. Hey, T, you all good? We still on the first part. There may be some therapy that needs to happen. There may be some hard conversations that need to happen. But you can honor that and saying we worked through it. And maybe it wasn't the outcome that I thought it was going to be, but I learned something and I'm taking something from this. And moving forward, I know I can teach people under my influence. I know how to move with these type of people moving forward. I know how to, make sure that if I'm writing a contract with somebody, I get my deposit up front, or, whatever it may be, no matter what area of life it's in. we want to make sure that that's not defining your future, but you're taking that and you're allowing it to now be a lesson. And when you move forward, you know how to move in the right way, right? Or at least you have more knowledge now of some better practices, like better practices, best practices for whatever you're doing. If I know that I need this, I know that maybe this type of person isn't who I should connect with, right? If I know that my business is centered around holistic care, right? Maybe I don't partner with like a cigarette company, or like it's things like is this in alignment with what I want to do? And before I've taken this journey or I've connected with people, maybe they didn't have integrity. So moving forward, I'm asking a few more questions. Right? So that kind of is what we talk about. We talk about the foundational piece of, I know what happened before, but I'm not going to allow that to be a setback. I'm going to move forward, whether it's positive or negative. I'm going to move forward because I haven't capped out, nor will I allow it to drag me down because of shame or regret or guilt. Second thing we want to look at is facing the unknown. We don't know what 2025 holds, right? We have no idea. We may have some dates set. We may have some ideas. We may know a little bit about what the weather is usually like during certain months, but we do not know everything that's going to happen. If you do, drop, DM me. We need to have a conversation. But facing the unknown, like one of the biggest fear that people have is one, public speaking. We know that. But there's this other fear, and it could be positive and negative, of the unknown. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what is gonna be in front of me. I don't know what's gonna be around the corner. I don't know how this is gonna pan out. And that is scary. Y'all, if y'all want to be honest, I'm gonna raise my hand. That is scary. Like, I don't know what it looks like. I have an idea, or I've done something similar, but I've never lived in 2025. I don't know about y'all. I never lived in 2025. So I don't really know what it holds, but I kind of know what my plans are. And as we look at that, we have to welcome the unexpected. I know that sounds crazy. That sounds like, I'm a planner all day, but there are moments when you have to welcome the pleasant surprises. You have to welcome the things that's not going to go your way and the lesson that you get out of it. You have to welcome the things that end up taking you off course, but it works out better for you. Y'all ever been in traffic and you sitting there, but there's this other route, right? It's a little bit longer, but it'll take you out of traffic. Like, I drive from Newport News to Suffolk almost every day. And one thing I do, sometimes I have to take a little bit longer route, but I take the route because it's a little bit longer, but it takes me around the traffic. And sometimes it's unexpected because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be a 10-minute backup, a 20-minute backup. Either way, I know that the traffic is unknown. If you live in the 757, you know what I'm talking about. It's unknown, but what I do know is that I may have to take a detour. It may take a little longer, but at the end of the day, it's going to get me to the right destination. As is life, where I've taken any of y'all taken some detours in life, but it worked out. Like, you didn't know it was going to work out, obviously, right? But it worked out. Like, you thought you were going to be one thing. You went to school for one thing. You got trained in one area, and your life completely detoured to something else. However, it's working, and it's working better than you thought it would, right? T said it's scary, but with God in the center, we will be okay going into 2025. And she also said she had a real bumpy 2024, but God is all. I'm going to say, but God, absolutely. And that's part of the unknown. Because for those of us who are believers, there's so much, that's faith, right? Where it's like, God got me. There's this unknown part. Like, I know, but I don't know, but I'm willing to kind of step out there and see what might happen. I'm willing to take the detour because I know that something is on the other side of it. I'm willing to take a different route because I know that what I had in mind is one thing, but the different route exposed me to a new restaurant. It exposed me to a new restaurant. The different route took me around so I didn't have to sit in traffic. The different route exposed me to a whole different scenery, right? It gave me something that I did not know I was going to gain. So not only did I get to my destination, or not only did I get to where I was trying to go, but I also was exposed to this new thing that now I'm exploring that too. So I got something on top of what I already had. Like, you can't beat that, right? So what that means is we have to acknowledge, many of us, I say we because I got to do the same thing. we have to acknowledge that the future will not always be what we expect, and that's okay. That's the big part. Like, this didn't go as planned, and that's okay. Wasn't expecting this, and that's okay. I didn't know that that restaurant was over there. It's definitely okay because we're coming back to check that out, right? I didn't know that y'all ever met somebody and you knew them and you knew another person, but you ain't know they knew each other, and now all y'all friends and y'all go out. You ever had an experience that you just had no idea like this was a possibility until you had to get deep to it first? So all I'm trying to say, simple terms, be open to something that could happen that you didn't plan for. And how do we kind of practically do that? Step out of your comfort zone regularly. What does that look like? Stepping out of your comfort zone is scary. It can feel overwhelming. It can bring anxiety. I know. But nothing changes. What is the quote? Doing the same thing over and over and again, expecting different results. That's called insanity. So as long as we do the same thing, we keep taking the same routes, and we keep talking to the same people, and we keep having the same routine, and we keep just everything this way, and it has to be this way, and if it's not this way, we're always going to get the same results. That is literally the definition of insanity. So what I'm saying is, how do we break out of the cycle? How do we break out of continuing to get the same results? How do we break out of the hamster wheel? How do we break out of, man, I want something different, but I don't know how to get to it? Step out of your comfort zone regularly. I said it like it was nothing. It's a lot. 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 Here's the thing. We can take baby steps. Y'all know we family. So in certain conversations, we challenge each other and we push each other, and we're like, go ahead. In this conversation, I want to say take baby steps, right? It's still December. Take baby steps. So what does stepping out of your comfort zone regularly looks like? It looks like maybe taking a different route to and from work, or to and from home, or to and from the doctor's office, or to and from Walmart or Target. It means that this is the route that I normally go, but I'm going to take this route. Yeah, it might be a little bit longer. It may not be what you're used to, but just try it. See what happens. You might be exposed to something you didn't even know was there. What does stepping out of your comfort zone regularly mean? It means maybe you see somebody in the store, they got on a nice outfit, you have a boutique. You say, look, you look like you got style. I sell this. I do this. I have this business, right? Putting yourself out there. It means maybe if you haven't dated in a while, or you're in a relationship, trying a new restaurant, or going out by yourself. I go out by myself all the time, so maybe I got to switch it out. But for people who are single, like putting yourself in other spaces. So you go to that same restaurant all the time, and it's the same people. Put yourself in a different space. Maybe you do have to drive out a little bit further, or maybe you go somewhere at a different time of the day or a different day of the month. But all it is taking the baby step. Try new food safely. Like, don't try nothing you're allergic to. I think I had an allergic reaction earlier trying something. At any rate, what I'm saying is baby steps helps us to get conditioned to be outside of our comfort zone. So taking a different routes, trying a new recipes. One thing me and my daughter do, we go to the international market and we'll just try new snacks, right? So it'll be a day out of the month. We'll just go. I'm like, hey, we're going to try this. We're going to try this snack, or we're going to try a different type of fish, or we're going to try a different seasoning, or we're going to try a different complete recipe. And what that does is it puts our mind in a space where change becomes the norm. So I'm outside of my comfort zone enough that when an opportunity presents itself that's just crazy, outlandish, but it's also like, that might be good, we're more open to it because you've been challenging yourself all week, right? With the foods and with the relationships and with putting yourself in different spaces. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and take baby steps. You've been thinking about trying Pilates or going to a kickboxing class. Just try the free trial one. You don't got to commit, right? Just try the free trial one. You've been thinking about riding ATVs or going to the beach in the wintertime, or, going to this new city that you've never been to. Go on to y'all, everything's on TikTok, right? Go on TikTok, get some restaurant reviews. Just try it. Take the baby step and see. You've been thinking about waking up early in the morning, having some quiet time. Just try it one day. See how it works out for you. Just try it. Third thing is forging ahead with hope. So we looked at the foundation. We looked at pushing past our comfort zone. The third thing we want to look at is forging ahead with hope. So what does that look like? Having hope when sometimes things seem bleak, when it's holiday season and family isn't what you thought it would be, when the election didn't go how you thought it was, and January is coming. It's like, oh, I don't know. Ms. Blunt said, sometimes I found out that I have to be quiet and listen where I can get some peace of mind and get clarity. That is so good. That is so funny, Ms. Blunt, because our 8 p.m. I didn't make 8 p.m. because I was actually recording another podcast. So I didn't make our 8 p.m. call, 8 p.m. live. But that was our 8 p.m. was supposed to be that. It was like reflection, sitting at just taking that time to be quiet and to listen. And often in those moments, that pushes us out of our comfort zone, right? You get the peace of mind, you get the clarity, and you're not talking. So you're not the one setting the pace or setting the tone. You're listening for what it is. And again, that's just another step of what we can do to really push into what the future holds, and being able to do it boldly because we heard, we got some clarity from what we heard, not always from what we had to say and what we were dictated. The third thing is forging ahead with hope. What does hope look like sometimes when it feels bleak, when things haven't gone our way, when we tried something in the past and we kind of like, it didn't go how I thought it was going to go. Hope looks like, this is Nelson Mandela, right? It always seemed impossible until it's done. So our hope in these moments is, hey, Dominic, I was actually on Dominic's podcast, The Forte. If y'all haven't been on it, I just went left, y'all, but I'm coming back. If y'all haven't been checking out his podcast, he and his co-hosts have a forte, and it's all about people who have a certain niche. So they come in, you talk, it's a free-flowing conversation, where you been, where you're going, why you do what you do. So y'all definitely check out, it's the Forte podcast. Is on Facebook, and I believe they're on Instagram as well. So you definitely want to get the Forte experience. And I also definitely look forward to collaborating with them in the future as we talk about the future. But many things always seem impossible until it's done. This is a quote from Nelson Mandela. But often we have hope, or we hold on to hope because we wouldn't need hope if it made sense, right? We wouldn't need the hope, we wouldn't need the faith. But our hope kind of informs us that, man, I know somebody said it's impossible, right? At one point, Wi-Fi, phones without cords, computers that could fit in your pocket, these things, free minutes before 9 o'clock, these things seemed impossible until somebody was brave enough, courageous enough, had enough hope to say, no, we can make this happen, right? And it's the same thing in our lives. There are things that maybe we feel overwhelmed about. We don't know if it's possible. We don't know if it can happen, right? That goes back to our unknown conversation. But this is what we do. How do we look at that practically? Instead of like, oh, I want to buy $1 million house. Cool. You could buy $1 million house. How do you break that up into smaller goals? You break it up by doing small actionable steps. So let's say you want to work on your credit, right? You get with someone and they let you know, okay, in order for you to be able to afford this home, you need to take care of this, this, and this, right? So you don't just go straight to the $1 million home. You take these small steps. Okay, I need to pay this down. I need to decrease my debt to income ratio. I need to, whatever the case may be. I have to do these steps. I have to take these steps. I want to lose 100 pounds. Okay, you're not going to lose 100 pounds by tomorrow, but how do you do that? By doing small actionable steps. I drink more water. I watch my portions. I eat healthy foods. I have a workout partner. I have a schedule. Oh, Forte, FOR, Forte. I would tag him. But I don't know if it's going to let me tag him in let me see, the Forte experience. I'll DM it to you too, T. But I do that. We accomplish big goals by breaking them down into small goals. So if it's something I want to do over a year, if it's something that I want to do over 2 years, if it's something that I want to do in the next 6 months, I break it down into small goals. Some people use SMART goals. That's one tool, but there's so many other things like being specific, making it measurable. All these things that you can break it down into. Miss I can't talk, y'all. Miss Tracy Mingley said, "Love those steps and setting setting small goals." That's it, because we get overwhelmed if we say, I want to graduate. Let's say you want to go back to school, get a certificate. It takes time to do those things. So you don't go to school one day and then the next day you graduate, right? I don't know what kind of programs do that. But what you do is you take classes along the way, and those classes add up to the certificate, the degree, the license, right? It is I want to write a book. I don't know a lot of people that write a book in one day. It is chapter by chapter, page by page, right? So don't get overwhelmed with, man, I got to do this. Yeah, you're going to get to this by building up in the small steps. So don't overlook the small steps. Don't think that your small steps are something that don't matter. Your small steps matter. Your small steps are impactful. You eating the banana instead of the cookie, that was a good choice. And that was very impactful, because that starts the habit, right? The more you do it, the easier it become for you, and the more that you'll build on and be on track. The fourth thing, and we have 5 things tonight. The fourth thing is freedom from the past, letting go to move forward. So how do we build a healthy foundation? How do we build a foundation so that we can move forward into the future, knowing that there's some things we just don't know, knowing that we have to be flexible in some areas, knowing that we have to break down things. We remember that we are our best work. This is Audre Lorde. I love Audre Lorde. If y'all don't know, I probably mention Audre Lorde every night when we're on live, because of the work that she did and how liberated she was when it relates to rest, when it relates to taking care of yourself, as it relates to how we identify with people and the world. I am my best work. Therefore, I am my best work. What does that have to do with anything? Freedom from the past means that we are all a work in progress, and we are our best work. So you are, out of all the people you talk to, guess who you talk to the most? Yourself. The little voices out of your head, those thoughts that you have, the things that you say to yourself. Remember, you're working on yourself every day. You are pouring into yourself every day. You are growing with yourself every day. So don't discount the fact that as you move through life, as you're navigating different spaces, you learn along the way. So what you know today is not what you knew 20 years ago, right? If you could go back and talk to your 5-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, your 25-year-old self, your 45-year-old self, you would drop some knowledge on you, right? But the things you didn't know, you didn't know. So you cannot punish yourself, right? I want to free you tonight. I want you to be free. I can't free you, but I want you to be free tonight from things in your past that you feel like you messed up, that you fumbled, whether it was money, whether it was people, whether it was ideas, whether it was a job, whether it was an opportunity. It happened because you made decisions based on the information you had at the time. Now that you know more, you'll probably make a different decision, but you have to remember that you know more now than you knew then. So we have to find healthy ways to let go of, yeah, you lost the money. Yeah, the relationship did not work out. Yeah, you ate the candy bar. Yeah, you said the words to the person. But now you know more than you knew then. So using what you know now, use that to be a stepping stone going forward, and not a bat or a leash to pull you back or to beat yourself up because of what decisions you made then. Yeah, you're getting on yourself now because you're like, I can't believe I did that. But you didn't have that mindset then. So know that you've grown. Know that you are your best work. So be your best work, and know that every day you are a work in progress. And every day you are growing and getting better. Every day you are getting wiser. Every day you are gaining more. Every day, every day, every day. So don't let those days, back in the day, past days, yesterday, hold you back from moving forward. You can't afford to, because you have so much more that is open for you. I don't want to say that you have to accomplish. You have so much more possibility now, because of your mindset shift and because of what you're open to. There's so much more possibility of what you can gain because you're more open now. You have more knowledge now. You have more experience now. So use that to fuel you forward and not to pull you back. How do you do that? Practice forgiveness. And this forgiveness, forgive other people, yes, but start with you. Forgive yourself for mistakes that you made. Forgive yourself for the stupid decisions. I'm going to say stupid because all of us have done it. For stupid decisions that you made. Forgive yourself knowing that hindsight means you know now and you're looking back. Hindsight is 2020. That vision back there was crazy, blurry, all toe up. It was done. It was done. It was done. But now hindsight has taught you so much. So practice forgiveness. Start with yourself. And sometimes you have to say it out loud. I forgive myself for doing this. I forgive myself and I release myself from the bondage of past mistakes that try to hold me back. I'm no longer that person. I no longer have that mindset. And sometimes you literally have to say it out loud. And that's what kind of helps break that barrier. Some of those things you may have to work out with a counselor, with a therapist. But some things, again, we talked about this on the nightcap a couple nights ago. Say it out loud. I forgive myself for this. That's an activity for us all tonight. I forgive myself. Write it down. I forgive myself for this. Or say it. Go look in your mirror and you might feel like, I can't believe I'm doing this. But you need to tell you what's on your mind. I forgive myself for this. I let go of this. I will no longer allow what I did 20 years ago to hold me back. I will no longer allow what I said 30 years ago to stop me from moving forward into 2025. I will not allow the guilt and the shame of what somebody said to me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last week to stop my progress, because you can't afford to let somebody else stop you from moving forward. So forgive yourself. Start there and know that you can move forward, because you don't have to carry that burden. You don't have to carry that guilt. The other part of that, so practice forgiveness. The other part of that is decluttering your space. There is something about, and shout out to Ms. Blunt for this, because this is something we talked about in the Transforming Women group. Decluttering physical spaces, literally cleaning out your car, cleaning up your bedroom, cleaning. It's something about it that does something in our brain, right? Where if we're working in a clean space, if we're working in a clutter-free space, it helps us to process things better. It helps us to think more clearly. So even if we're taking baby steps tonight, right? This is night one. We're taking baby steps. Even if you just clean out your junk drawer, even if you just clean the passenger seat in your in your car, even if you just wash one of that load of clothes, even if you got clothes like me on the couch and you just fold one load of clothes, that is a step. So you don't have to clean the whole house from top to bottom and wash the baseboards and wash the walls and get all the spider webs. But what you can do is take one little corner and say, you know what, this is what I do throughout my week. Because sometimes my house gets out of hand because just my schedule. I won't allow more time in my schedule to take care of certain things. So I'm like, okay, today is a kitchen day. Today I'm cleaning the kitchen. Tomorrow I clean the bathroom. This day I will wash clothes. I break it down because I know my schedule does not allow me to clean my whole house at once. But what it does allow is maybe Wednesday is a kitchen day, Thursday is a vacuum day, Saturday is okay, let's get these clothes together and fold them day. Just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. We have a question here. Miss Tracy Mingalee said, what about leaving a job? Trusting God opened the door, but it's tougher than you thought. And keep beating yourself up, now thinking of changing jobs again, but not wanting to fail God. How do you forgive yourself or feel guilty? So I think there's two things there. So trusting God, let me pause. I will always advocate for healthy mental spaces. While I do understand that no matter where you work, no matter where you go, there will be some stressors, right? That's just a part of life. You won't love every day at your job. But if it's starting to affect your mental health, that will also start affecting your spiritual and your emotional health. right? If you wake up every day like, oh, I can't believe I got to go back and do this. Oh, you got to drag yourself out of bed. You got to push yourself to go somewhere. If God has laid it on your heart and said, I'm opening more doors for you, I would be prayerful now about, okay, God, how exactly do you want me to handle this? Right? Because it could mean a few things. It could mean on faith, you leave the job, right? And you know that there will, because of my faith of being obedient and leaving this space, a new door will open. It could also be, okay, God, what is the date? So if it's December now and God is saying you need to leave by May 15th, right? So between December and May, whatever I'm paying my bills and I'm stashing away as much as I can. So between December and May, I'm not taking no extravagant vacations. I'm not spending no extra money, because if I'm leaving in May, I want to have some type of cushion so that I'm not just spending. I'm paying my bills. I'm setting aside money. I am saving up. Um, and it also could be one of those things where it is just get through this season and things will be okay later. But if the tugging is God saying, no, you need to leave this space, right? It is now, okay, for your mental, spiritual, emotional health, we need you in a different space. So now that means I'm applying for jobs, I'm going on interviews, I am, networking to see where else I can be, because God cares about us holistically. So you could be on a job making the money, but if you're stressed out and you're feeling depressed and your mental health isn't well and you really gave it all that you could, it's now, okay, the instruction I would look for, okay, God, if this is not where I'm supposed to be, what do you want me to do next? It's breaking it down to small steps. Okay, I need a new job. How do we get to that? Is it leave this job on faith? Is it save up money until it's time to go? Is it apply for jobs? Is it go talk to this person? Because God can be just as specific as you need to talk to this person, you need to call this person, you need to apply here, right? Or it could also be as broad as May. You're gone in May, and between that time, you just have to be responsible. And I hope that answered it. And as far as the forgiving yourself or feeling guilty, it is affirming yourself and keeping that open connection with God. Like Miss Blunt said earlier, it is telling God, okay, God, we're in this conversation. This is not working out. And then it's pausing and listening. Tell me what you want me to do now. How do you want me to handle this? How can I do this in the best way? Hope that helped. But that's the big part, is often we feel guilty, and especially there are certain generations, and a lot of us were taught, you get a job, you stay there, you retire, you get the benefits, but that's not always the case. So I'll say this for all of us, you may have to retire, you may retire from some places, and you may just get to some places for the experience. And I think I had some jobs because I wanted it, and then it was like it was one of those things like I don't want to live with any regrets. So it's like I tried it, it didn't work, I'm moving on to the next, right? And it's not, I know, depending on personality types and stuff, that's not ideal for everyone, but for me, I'm like, I'm gonna try it, and if it doesn't work out, I'm still gonna be good. But I do know that I'll never regret, like, man, what if I would have done that? I wonder what that would have been like. Thank y'all. That was a great question. Thank you so much, Miss Tracy. But those are two big practical things. Start with yourself, forgiving yourself, affirming yourself, knowing that you've done the best you can with what you had, and then decluttering spaces. That's the physical part of, and emotional spaces. So again, that may be talking to a trusted confidant, that may be therapy, that may be counseling, that may be you just taking the time to sit in the quiet and listen, and know that that's clearing space as well. Lastly, focusing on the future, a vision for what's possible. So we kind of tilled the soil, we kind of got through a few things, but one of the big things is being able to see where you want to go. So I see myself doing this. The podcast that I mentioned earlier that I was on, one of the questions that they asked me was, how you see this in 5 years? So if we only can see right now, it's hard to push forward into the future when the only thing you believe for is the present. It's hard to push into the future when the only thing you're aware of is what's happening right in front of you. It's hard to even plan for what's ahead if your focus is set on, okay, today, this, and there are moments when you just got to get through today. Let's be honest. There are some moments and there are some days where you're like, okay, I just, if I could just get through this day, I can worry about everything else later. Yes, not pushing that to the side, but what I'm saying is there also should be some big picture for you where you're taking the small steps. But we, right, not you, we are also focused on, okay, 5 years from now I want to be here, because you can't wait till year 5 to get there. We have to take the tiny steps there to get there. So we have to take the tiny steps in between to get to year 5. So what is possible? How do we focus on what's possible? Again, we take tangible steps. So one of my answer to that question was, I see the Vent Live having hubs, right? Where we have an ATL hub that somebody is running. We have a DMV hub that somebody got on lock. They're meeting regularly. They are together. They are creating safe spaces in person regularly. We have a San Francisco hub. We have somebody like in Switzerland. We have people in Madagascar. We have people everywhere, right? And this is the vent. We all meet in our separate little pockets, but then there's this yearly thing or this quarterly thing where we all meet somewhere together and we kind of come together as a community, right? But I cannot wait until 5 years from now to say, oh man, we need an Atlanta hub. No, we went to Atlanta in September because we are starting the work now for later. We're going to the DMV in the spring because we're starting to work now and making the connections now for later. Baby steps, right? We haven't gone out of the country yet. We haven't gotten to the West Coast yet, but it's baby steps to get to what year 5 will look like. So our actionable items are, okay, where do we go? Who are the people that we connect with, right? This is me for the event. This is me sharing what we're doing, because this is a prime example of what small actionable items, tangible steps look like. It is, who do we know in Atlanta? Who can we connect with? What are they doing? What are their skill sets? What can they bring and what can we bring to them, right? Who do we know in the DMV? How can we collaborate with them? How can we make not, and we talked about this in the nightcap, how can we make deep connections and not just connect with a whole bunch of people, but we're meeting with these people regularly and we're building relationship with these people. So then when year 5 comes, we all aboard and we ready to go. Right? How do we do that? By taking steps now to get to later. And that's the same thing in relationships, right? Most people don't meet somebody and then they're married the next day, right? There may be some love at first sight, and I love that for you. But often, to build deep connections with people, you get to know each other. You spend time together. You know their likes and their dislikes. You know that what makes them light up and what kind of turns them off. You know that. And that's because you took steps to get to know them and to learn them. That's like with your job, learning the culture. You didn't know the culture day one. You learned the culture as you had interactions with people, as you built relationship with people, as you took on projects. You learned the culture, how to navigate that space. So with everything, there are small steps that we take that accumulate to major changes over time. But it's very rare that there's a major shift very quickly and we're all aboard with it. There were some things that happened, right? Positive or negative. There were some things that happened to lead up to it. So what we want to share with you tonight is that as you look at the foundation for your future, as you consider what 2025 will look like, one, take small steps, take baby steps when you can. Two, do not allow past accomplishments to become a shrine or anchor. Use them as a stepping stone. Three, don't beat yourself up for not always having the answers, for not always doing it right, for not always doing it in the timing you thought that it should take. And be open, be flexible. So as much as you want to plan, as much as you forecast, do it. Forecast, plan, get your calendar, set your dates, but also leave space for things to be flexible, because it often will work out better than how you thought it would. Leave that open space for flexibility so that even you can be pleasantly surprised. And I don't know if y'all can see this picture in the corner. One of the big things we talked about in the past, and this is us closing out, is this idea of Afrofuturism. And we had a conversation about it already. But with Afrofuturism, it actually integrates Black history, African history, and culture with seeing people of color and African people in the future. So it's a blend of what was and what can be and what will be. And we have to have a healthy blend of that, right? So having that blend is I'm gonna take the lessons that my grandmother, my grandfather, my uncles, my aunts, those principles, right? But I'm not gonna make them shrines. There are the stepping stones for where I want to go. So in 1950, they may have been doing it one way. I'm going to take the principle, not the shrine of it. I'm going to take the principle and apply it to how it works, right? In seventh grade, I was making MySpace pages, right? But now it's a different type of coding where I'm moving forward in the future and I'm using Chat GPT. Like it's just different, but it's the same principle, but it's a different way it's a different method. So don't be afraid to use the past for what you need it to be and also let it evolve for where you want to go. So this will be our series for December. We are celebrating all that we were able to do, all that we were able to overcome in 2024, but we're also looking forward into 2025, what can be, what we can be open to, even being open to as Sister Tracy and Miss Blunt and T being open to what can happen if we leave space for the Holy Spirit, leave space for God to kind of shift our plans a little bit and know that it will often work out for the better and being bigger and better than what we thought it could be. And knowing that it doesn't mean that you overwork yourself or that you have to work harder, but being open for the help that will come along, being open for the networking that will come along, being open for the collaborations that will come along so that you can do you and do the best you and be the best you and also do it alongside other people so you don't have to carry all the weight. Be open to the people, to the places, to the things, and know that you don't have to overwork to accomplish. I will see you next time. I am always appreciative of y'all being on. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your questions. Thank you, Miss Blunt, Miss Tracy, T, everybody that came in, Dominique, Henry, Carl. If I didn't see you, we appreciate you for being part of our community, for being present here with us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Thank you. We cannot wait to see you again. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Please get some good quality rest tonight. Take care of yourself, and we will see you again tomorrow for the Vent Nightcap at 8 or next Tuesday at 9 p.m. for our live chat. Let's do it. Let's do it. Conquer the day tomorrow. I will see you soon.